Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Want to take a quick minute and do some intros super quick. I'm Jamie Wilson. I'm here with CrimsonStark. Chris and Inera are also here, and we're going to be having a quick conversation with Conexiom today. We'll be talking through sort of their partnership strategy, how we played a role in working with them, putting together a roadmap, and sort of what's up next. So super excited to be here today, be chatting through all of the great work that's been done, and looking forward to hearing more from Mark and Tiffany. I'm going to pass it off to you guys to do some quick intros, and then we'll jump in.
Go ahead,
Mark,
Tiffany.
I'll start. So I'm Tiffany Alexander, Senior Vice President of Conexiom for Partnerships.
And my name's Mark Toffoli, and I've been one of the early managers at Conexiom, and I currently have a role doing value engineering.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much for joining us today. We're really excited to talk through all of the wonderful work that we've done together and what's next on the horizon. So starting out, Mark and Tiffany, quickly, could you share a snapshot of Conexiom, what it is you guys do, how you guys are aiming and driving to help your customers, and sort of what your strategic partnerships looked like, when we met and started our business relationship?
Mark, did you want to start with just giving an overview of Conexiom?
Sure, I can do that.
Yeah.
So we help our customers improve customer experience and profitability. Those are the big problems we help them focus on. And we do it by using artificial intelligence to automatically process documents. So that would be orders and invoices, typically received via email, but they can come in via text or fax. And we help them do that quickly and accurately, even when those orders are handwritten or just free text in the body of an email.
Awesome.
Now,
And, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, and I know you guys want a little bit of background on us. We have about over 500
Yep.
customers today across a wide range of segments, typically in manufacturing and distribution. And those range from, commercial accounts to Fortune 100 companies. And as you can imagine, in our business, it's not just about transcribing what's actually on that document, but making sure that it gets into the customer's systems in a way that honors what the sender intended it to be. So if you're fulfilling an order, am I going to get what I wanted to get? And that's a challenge, especially when, things like part numbers, item codes, or unit of measure don't match exactly what's in the receiver's system of record, or their catalogs. So, the problems we solve in doing this for our customers allow us to assist their customer service agents and their accounting clerks to deliver best-in-class outcomes, while at the same time making them more productive. And it's hard to do both of those at the same time.
I
Typically,
was
you're
just going to say,
investing in, better outcomes, or you're looking to, be productive and reduce costs. So we feel fortunate we can help on both fronts at the same time.
yeah, killing two birds with one stone, solving some pretty complex issues when you bundle it all together. So awesome. Thank you for a little background there. Thinking back over time, I know, Mark, when we've spoken, you've shared that Conexiom has had a partnership strategy for several years, right? And that has progressed and changed over time. Could you or Tiffany shed some light into where your partnership program was, let's even say 10 years ago, 5 years ago, a year ago, and how that's progressed over time, and sort of what led you guys to decide to reach out to CrimsonStark and see if there was a good fit for our services?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start, and then I'll hand it over to Tiffany to sort of carry the torch forward. So for a number of years, I led our partner programs, and we developed our partner program in a number of different cycles over the last 10 to 12 years. And the program evolved according to what our business needs and strategic plans were during those time periods. And as after I handed that over to Tiffany, that left her with some challenges, which I will let her talk through.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, there was, I was fortunate to come into leading our partnerships with a lot of just broad ecosystem, many different connections, lots of relationships that, as Mark said, had changed over the years. And the biggest challenge, obviously, was just getting focus and understanding, okay, if we want to build something, we got to get started. I wanted to make sure that we had an impact in the organization. So it was really that focus that we needed to have, and a lot of relationships that, like I said, had gone back several years. So I knew I couldn't carry them all forward actively at the same time. So that was a big challenge. And then having a framework. So I like to stay organized and make sure that we have the right due diligence to continue to work with partners and build a relationship that's long lasting. And so just that sustainability, having a framework and operating model was super important, but a challenge as well. And then I wanted to make sure we were delivering results. And I can, proudly say today that we have some great results this year, kind of, picking up from, different results over the years. But the partnership program that we've invested in has made some considerable changes. And we've got the financial revenue to back that up this year. So it's really exciting.
So exciting. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on what made you guys finally decide that you wanted to take a look at the partnership strategy, invest a little here, and prioritize that in the larger picture.
Yeah, like any time, it's always lots of different factors as to why the time was right. Number one, I was coming in, wanted a fresh perspective, right? Starting something from scratch, making sure we were looking at it with a fresh set of eyes. But we were also at a point where, fortunate to work with some very large global organizations, and the scale that we needed to be able to continue to do that repeatedly, right, required being invested in the right ecosystems. So I think it wasn't always just about pipeline and revenue. It's also about making sure that we can deliver successfully for our customers and having the trust with our customers. And so that meant making sure the vendors and those ecosystems are familiar with Conexiom. Also, the technology is changing so fast right now that making sure that, our sales cycles that when I joined here 4 years ago look different than they do today.
Yeah.
They're getting disrupted with a lot of change, a lot of AI, technology coming.
Yep.
Yeah, so the pace of change is just so fast, and I think it's important to make sure that we look at our product strategy in comparison, and and it's being supported well by the ecosystem at the same time. So those were some of the major factors. I think it was like the customers we were working with, the change in technology, setting the product strategy, all of those things made it really important to make sure we had the right partner strategy to go with it.
So oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, those disruptions aren't coming just from within our organization. Our partners who represent the systems that our customers use typically are really also disrupting their own ecosystems. And so what we're looking to make sure we do is do it in a way that works for the end customer, so they're not worried, am I doing stuff that's overlapping within my ecosystem, or am I doing things that are going to cause conflict or cause problems with my other systems when I implement these changes that you're bringing forward with AI? And so
Right.
it's an important consideration is can we make sure we're really tightly integrated into those environments so that our customers get the right outcome?
Yeah.
Only constant is change, right? So everyone and everything is always changing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So with all of these changes, can you maybe share how did CrimsonStark come in and sit down at the table and pull up a seat and partner with you to say, this is what we're going to tackle, and here's how we're going to help you solve your problems? What role did we really have in getting things sort of moving?
Sure. So starting off with, right, we kind of came into this with open eyes again, or open mind. And it was like hiring, a couple experienced senior, channel leaders into our team. So the first thing we did was really sit down and go through our strategy, like, okay, all the relationships that exist, coming in with a fresh set of eyes again, not having the historical bias of what we had been trying to do for a couple of years, but really starting to challenge us to understand, like, and pick apart in some open brainstorming sessions, and making sure we understood our own kind of like, well, why is this important? What is the most effective or need? What do we need to do now? So it's really that sounding board, having a leadership or leaders, experienced leaders to come in and help guide us through that process and make sure we were challenged in our thinking. And then also just documenting and, helping to come back with playbooks right away, right? Like, I didn't want to have something that took us, 6 months to get results. I wanted to make sure that we were able to move with speed. Again, like, things are changing so rapidly. It was making sure that we can, every month, every quarter, that we were looking at what are we executing. So I think it was also just that acceleration that CrimsonStark helped us to make sure that we could go fast and have the confidence that we had the right strategy in place.
Yeah. And were there any obstacles that you could think of, Mark or Tiffany, or examples of something that maybe CrimsonStark brought to the table or took off your plate and said, hey, we'll take this and run with it, and maybe share an example?
Sure. I can say, from my perspective, one of the biggest challenges, and it seems strange when you're looking out at the world in front of you, how do we go win in this world? One of the biggest challenges is actually getting your internal organization aligned and seeing the world the same way with how are we going to go achieve these goals that we've set for ourselves. And, I would say that, especially in the age of AI, where things are happening faster and there's more unknown and more uncertainty, gaining that alignment on how to best capture that market opportunity was probably helping us do it. That was probably the biggest role that I felt that CrimsonStark played for us. And Tiffany, I know you got probably a couple other thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I just would say exactly the same, like that confidence to say, these are big decisions that we're making. We didn't have the time to trial a few different relationships. We wanted to make sure that we were getting the alignment. And I think just having, the experience in CrimsonStark who have executed this before, just gave me the confidence, like, yes, we are actually landing on the right thing, help take our gut, our intuition, again, check us on our bias and make sure that, yes, this is absolutely correct, and go big or go home.
Right.
But, making sure that that internal alignment, the advocacy was really important to understand, like, okay, let's think about this from a few different angles. And I think we had, thought it well through, and that was really helpful to get our executive team saying, yeah, that makes sense. Let's go forward.
Yeah. And I would just add, like, the fact that you were both willing to sit down and get the organization together around the plan and willing to commit to a strategic focus rather than more of a broad-based focus, that made it so much easier for us to do what we needed to do and set you on the right path. So it was fantastic working with both of you and with your team on this.
I'll add one more, and I'll circle back to something Tiffany said, to your last question, which is the prep work that we did to actually think through the strategy, the exercises we went through together to actually, map out what were our strengths, what were our weaknesses, where's the opportunities, threats, those kind of analysis, and actually map it all out and then the documentation that came back from, in collaboration with your team for the outcomes that we'd arrived on, was critical in giving the larger organization the confidence that we'd actually thought this through properly. And so it wasn't just our confidence that swayed them, it was the strength of the work that had been done and been able to be presented, and they could think it through and arrive at the same conclusion. So I think that was, a really important part in the aligning step.
Yeah. And just touching on that a little bit more, the roadmap, I think, was a critical piece, Mark, to what you were explaining in showcasing to the larger company, the larger, leadership team, that subject matter experts, there's a plan, we have milestones, and we're off and running. I think that there's been leveraging CrimsonStark as hands-on keyboard, motivation, starting to get the ball rolling, getting everyone on the same page to move forward. Can we talk a little bit about that roadmap and how you know, Mark, you touched on some objectives that you guys set forth, and Tiffany getting leadership buy-in, that, you know, gut check, and we're doing the right things, we're off and running. Can we talk a little bit about that roadmap and how that played a role in probably the success of the outcomes you guys are seeing now?
Yeah, I'll start, and Mark, you know, feel free to add in as well. You know, one of the things we did, and again, some of these things are like, you know, you really have to challenge again your thinking. But what we did was, you know, really mapped out attributes to
Yep.
different relationships, right? To understand why were we making these bets? What were some of the criteria that we were using to create that map? So making sure there was, and it took a while just internally to say, like, do we all agree these are the right attributes? And so I think there was a lot of discussion on that. But that really helped us to say, okay, no, we are going to narrow in on this for these reasons. And we could communicate that, you know, across the organization, both up and down, to see like, this is what we're doing, and here's the goal behind it, the objectives. So that was a clear thing to just get the investment we needed to move forward, is to make sure we had that framework in place. And then understanding who's accountable and responsible, one of Chris's favorite activities, to make sure we were the racy. Yes, we spent a lot of time on that. But then also on the roadmap, it was not just the process and framework, it was also thinking about all the relationships of like, okay, where do we have gaps and what we need, and then understanding, okay, if we want to go after this market and this particular one. And some we decided like, hey, let's just pause on that for now. But like, as soon as we want to, that roadmap, we were able to quickly identify through the help of CrimsonStark, like who we should be, you know, actually targeting as a starting point. And I think that was a huge part of the roadmap and acceleration for us as well.
Yeah, I think a good solid starting place, maybe tackle that, not necessarily low hanging fruit, but the biggest ROI, those opportunities that meant the
Yep.
most to you guys and were the most important. Looking at today, how do you feel your partnership program has shifted, your strategy, your strengths? And maybe could you give me some thoughts or ideas on how you envision the future and what that looks like for your partnership strategy program as well?
Yeah, so comparing from, you know, where we were to now, you know, for me, is a big change. And again, as Mark said, we've had a lot of years of different relationships. But you know, what I'm excited, obviously, is the revenue contribution and just, you know, making that sustainable going forward. And I can see a path of how that continues. But I would say also where we have decided to really go, you know, focus, it's not just like a couple of relationships. I feel like we have a very well-rounded ecosystem in those areas now, where it's everything from having the right subject matter experts. We know, you know, different people in the organization. So I think it's just much broader.
Yep.
Fewer places to focus, but broader kind of, you know, area that we can go be really active in. So I think that's been really, really helpful. So it's not just pipeline, but I think it's that you got to think about all the different angles of what your customers need, the trust, the credibility, and the advocacy. So I think we've been able to establish that. So it's you know, for me, it feels like we've made a lot of progress in the last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to build on what you said, my view at the highest level is that we've been able to take what served us for our historical objectives and bring it into the present to serve us for where we're going today. And that, you know, and do it in a way that works for an organization that's larger and more complex than we were, you know, just a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it makes, I think, all the difference in the world to have your execution strategy lined up with your for your go-to-market actually operating against your strategic goals, instead of it being something that's a collection of, well, we've just always done this.
Right. And I was going to say, I think Tiffany took my next question and answered it already. I was going to say, what value do you think the strength you've gained in your strategic partnership program has brought to your customers, to clients, right? And I think, Mark, you touched on a little bit too, but it's really focusing on the end goal, which is the clients. So do you have any thoughts or ideas around that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you're only successful when your customers are successful first, right? And so I think what we've been able to do is one, just get the, the commitment from the organization to commit to more integrations, get more time to, better time to value for our customers, which I think is, so important for the success of our customers, as well as not just the integrations, but the trust and the collaboration between these big vendors that we work with to say, yes, Conexiom can deliver and are additive to what we do. So I think having that from different points of view was really gave our customers the reliance that they needed to say, like, yes, this is a good partner that's going to see us through to what we need to do. But then also just accelerating innovation. So once we get that point and we're brainstorming more together with our partners versus trying to deliver something, that our customers are driving us to, but we're doing it in kind of a more, again, well-rounded approach. I think the innovation is starting to, go faster from my perspective of like, hey, they're invested too because they see the results that can be delivered. So let's hear some ideas and some white space that is available for us to go and actually support these, ecosystems and do more with. So
Speaking of white space, what are you guys excited about coming up, looking to the future, thinking of your strategic partnerships, how far you've come, the roadmap you have, the outcomes that were, achieved and still looking to achieve? What are your thoughts and feelings on looking forward in the future?
I mean, for me, I feel grounded that we have the right foundation in place now, that we have, a lot of great things started. So just having that to build on makes me super excited that like, I know we can continue to go fast in what we need to do. And coupled with the right product strategy investment to say like, okay, we've got this layer, foundation. We get the product strategy is coming at the same time to say like, okay, we see how this lines up with this. And now we can go and start approaching many different, partners in the ecosystem to say like, okay, here's our direction. And then you can just start to see the ideas churning as like, oh, this would be interesting if we could do this. So it makes me, that's exciting. I'm a solutions person and, seeing how these relationships kind of start to evolve very rapidly is really exciting. And then of course, again, coming back to customers and making sure we're delivering value. But I think that's the fun stage now of bringing the AI technology products and then, our go-to-market motion together.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about the growth it's going to bring for us as a company. My DNA, I started my career in sales, and I think it's so deep in my DNA that I look at everything through the lens of what's the opportunity ahead of us. And I'm really excited about the growth opportunity that's ahead of us. And actually, there's stuff that you guys are working on that has got us
excited.
Also excited. I can't wait for your matchmaking service to come into play and see how that helps spark even more growth in our business as we develop new partner channels. So hopefully you guys will keep us plugged in for when that's ready to launch.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I was going to say, Inira, do you want to plug Nexus up and coming?
Absolutely. So Nexus is on the way. It's launching very soon, but as Mark mentioned, it's a matchmaking platform. So think of your B2B partnerships and relationships and how long it usually takes to find the right match. So the platform cuts that process down from, weeks, months, or even years in some cases, right, to just minutes of being able to see that. And then on top of that, it kind of guides you and coaches you on how to partner with someone, right? And it kind of provides you at least an outline of a roadmap of here's how you, potentially start the conversation. Here's how you get alignment. And then here's how you can go to market together. And then you can track all of the great work that you're doing together. So yeah, thanks, Mark. We're absolutely going to keep you plugged in. We're very excited for Conexiom to be on the Nexus platform.
Good. Excited.
Anything Conexiom has up and coming, new, exciting that you guys want to maybe drop a little nugget for?
I know Tiffany's team has been working on a couple of really significant strategic product initiatives that are coming to market in the next few weeks. So stay tuned. And they're definitely things that are going to impact our channel partners in a big way. And it's a need that I've been hearing about in the market from our customers for at least 10 years now. So I think you guys are going to be surprised, and so stay tuned to this channel.
Yeah.
Moving and shaking. I love it. Closing out, as we think about the wonderful partnership that we've had working together, any last thoughts, tidbits, ideas, teasers, anything else that you guys think is of value that we want to chit chat about quickly?
I'll just say that, this was obviously a new approach to building out a partnership program. Is not just working with your internal team, but really saying like, okay, how can we be creative? We're a smaller, organization, and we want to move fast. So taking, like, not going a traditional route of hiring somebody in and just saying like, let's just go get it working first, and then we can think about, longer term, where we need to like make sure we have the right people to carry the work forward. And I would just say, it's been such a, great experience from my point of view, just working with the CrimsonStark team. So thank you guys. Yeah.
Feeling is
Been our
absolutely
pleasure.
mutual. Yes,
Yeah,
we've very much enjoyed it.
and I would say that the concept of fractional leadership for functions within an organization is one that, I became familiar with a few years ago, but have started experiencing a little bit more. And CrimsonStark, in my opinion, certainly represents the best outcomes that you can get from that kind of a fractional leadership coming into your organization and becoming part of the fabric of your organization. But, like Tiffany said, it's not like you're hiring a full-time employee. You're bringing in a team and an expertise to do a function on a fractional basis most needed, and it's been fantastic.
We love to hear that feedback. Love to hear it. Chris and I are beaming from ear to ear. Mark and Tiffany, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate. We know you guys have been very busy with all the new and exciting things coming up, but we do really appreciate you taking time out to talk to us today. I think so many people are going to find this valuable and helpful and insightful. And that's our hope moving forward, that we'll continue to spread this subject matter expertise wealth around and help continue to grow partnership strategies. Thank you guys both so much.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers.
Thanks.
Good job, guys.